everyone, and welcome to another edition of Maker Monday. We're doing pretty good on these weekly things.
Yeah.
I'm stoked. Thank you everyone who's joining us today who are familiar with Makers Monday. And for those who are not, I'm going to give a little explanation. My name is UGW Timbear. I'm community manager for the game QUIRK. And we like to join you guys every single Monday right here on Twitch to talk about building, where the state of the game is, show off our community favorites. And I always have a special guest. And this week, I'm super excited to have our...
UGW Jess. I'm the executive producer on QUIRK here at UGen.
Yeah, so you're kind of the ultimate maker of makers.
Yeah, so if you play at all, you probably see my name on a lot of the QUIRKs that are in there. I made a lot of the ones that we started with. But for me, I like the ones that we've built, but I'm really excited about what our community is building. And so really, my hope is that we can kind of turn it over to the community entirely. Right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
We can sort of stop doing.
I don't think you'll ever be able to stop, to be fair. That's awesome. So yeah, since we have you here today, we are kind of switching it up a little bit today. We're going to get all into Jess's business about where he's been, where we're going with QUIRK, and we have a huge list of Jess favorites today. So we're gonna go through quite a few maps. Some of you we've already shown off on previous makers, but Jess loved them so much that we're gonna bring it back. And as always, we have the lovely video wizard behind. So yay! So shout out to her showing off our gameplay already.
It's working.
It's working. She's just testing it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and now hop right into game. And also, hi everyone. Hi Dog Stars. Hi Frontline. And I'm going to let Jess take the wheel. Super funny story about Jess. Before we sat down and he immediately just started playing and making sound effects. And so like a child. It was so good.
It's just a big toy. I love it. I mean, I'll never get bored of being able to just fly around with a balloon.
So good.
It's very exciting to me.
The kids. So this previous Saturday, we had a whole bunch of young folks come in to test the game, and that was some of their favorite parts. Is just playing around in commons and jumping on the balloons and testing how far they can go and what they can get away with in the commons. So that was awesome. We had kids from like 8 to 13 in the studio. We gave them a ton of sugar and pizza and then let them have free reign of the studio. So super pumped about that. That was pretty cool, huh?
Yeah, it was really cool. The parents were giving us sort of cross-eyed looks, or like, what are you doing giving my kids that much sugar? and then we put them in to play the game themselves, and the parents just they didn't care anymore. It was kind of cool. Yeah,
the best babysitter, I think one of them mentioned. So right, so you want to hop into your favorite maps that you've made?
Absolutely. So I've been making maps for this game since we were just demoing it, right? And it's changed obviously quite a bit. And for me, a lot of the really interesting ones are how the game has evolved because a different block came in or a different set of blocks came in. And so I kind of want to talk about that as we look through some of these. So let me go through. I'll show you some of my most recent favorites, the ones I've built, but then I want to talk about the community and then some of the team. So let's see.
DM for the Good Place, great map. Yeah, we have Hedge Fun up. I just printed out your email. I was so lazy.
So this one, Hedge Fun. This is a 4-team map, and there are a couple of really interesting things about this map. First of all, so player is about 1 block high, right? So we've designed it so that the player would be 1 block high, and we've designed it so that you can jump up 2 more blocks. So if you build a wall that's 3 blocks high, then you can double jump on top of it, right? 4 blocks, you can't jump on top of unless you get creative, unless you grab a block and put it there and jump on top of it, or you got something bouncy, or you rocket jump or something. If you're trying to make, say, a maze, and this is kind of a maze, right, where there are long hallways.
I would say so, yeah.
You need something that's at least 5 blocks high to keep people in it. If anything breaks, then people can build ladders out of any of the blocks, and so they can jump up over things. So you have a lot of things you have to take into consideration. With this particular map, we had just done the hedge, right? And the origin of this particular block is that someone wanted a block that respawned. The idea was that they would make a door that they could go through, and then it would respawn kind of behind them. But it kind of evolved into this because it just reappeared, and no one really understood why it was reappearing. And so we decided it would be cool if it grew back, right? So when you hit it, right, it disappears, and then you can slowly watch it grow back, right? It takes 2 hits with your hammer to get through these. And so when this came in, I decided I wanted to build this sort of garden area, right, with the hedges and the waterfalls and stuff, and it turned out really cool. I think it's really beautiful. But what's more interesting is that we have this buff, right, the strength buff here, that makes your hammer twice as powerful. And so all of a sudden there's a dynamic here in this map where if I want to actually move through the map very easily, I need to go and get these strength buffs to be able to destroy the hedges and get the guns and move through and beat people. And so what we've done here is we've seeded the map with all sorts of strength buff chests, and then we've made you dig for stuff to find. There are all sorts of hidden things in this map, and more strength buffs, speed buffs.
Ooh, now you're fast and strong.
Right, how cool is that? Right?
That seems a little unfair.
Totally. Anyway, I really like this because there's lots of fun places to hide, lots of things you can dig for, and it's really good to have, when you've got a lot of people. There aren't any rockets in this, so there's not going to be any rocket jumping, so it's just potatoes. So it's all about, making sure you've got cover and sort of staying out of the line of fire.
Excellent.
All right.
That's one of my favorites too, and I think it's interesting because I feel like you have very functional maps, but recently we've gotten a really aesthetically pleasing maps, and that's definitely one of them where a lot of thoughtful design went into it.
One thing I think of when I'm building stuff, first off, is how it's going to play, where the teams are, where they're going to get their equipment, how they're going to interact with each other. But more importantly, I think, is after the fact, how I'm going to theme it and so it looks a certain way. And I think it's equally as important. It's just more fun to play in a cool looking map.
Absolutely. So it looks like we have up next Dragon's Tongue. Should be on page 15.
And so this was another one where I created it with the idea that we were going to show this off. It was done for some of our to pitch to some investors and stuff, and we were looking for something that would really wow people, right? And so we had just put the water block in. The lava had been in for a little while, but we also wanted to create sort of levels of gameplay, right? So what's interesting about this map, I think, is that there's sort of a lower playing field where everything is destroyable, right? And where you can get all the buffs and you can pick up the potato guns and whatnot. But there's also this upper playing field where if you teleport up, you're inside one of the mouths of the dragons, right? And the dragons' tongues are, of course, made of lava. And it actually takes a little bit of practice to get up over and land on this without, killing yourself.
That was impressive. To this day, I have a really hard time doing that.
It takes some practice. But another aspect of this map that I think is interesting is the color scheme, right? Obviously the dragons they're black dragons and they breathe fire, right? They've got the lava. But I like the white marble against the blue of the water. And so I think it has the play aspects where you've got lots of interactivity. Things are destroyable down below. People don't have to go up high to get to those weapons if they don't want to. But then you've got that extra level of, okay, I'm going to try for this. So you have different strategies for different teams. Anyway, I think it's got some skill, but you don't have to get up here if you don't need to. anyway.
Right. Yeah, there's a whole lot of levels. It's kind of the ultimate map that shows off a little bit of everything that we have to offer in QUIRKS. So it is a great pick for investors.
Yeah, they did like it.
Yeah, and it's an oldie but a goodie. And this is one of the first maps I played when I joined the team, and so it always will have that special play. Like learning how to play QUIRK on that map was really fun.
Oh, well, that's good to hear.
All right.
So now this is the last one of mine that we're going to talk about, and this one.
This one should be under featured.
This is a featured map. So this is a capture the flag map. And this one's called On Ramp, and we had just put these dash pads in, right? So if you step on them, shoot up here, and these ramps that's similar. We also had just put these wooden ramps in. So what I wanted to do was create this sense of like you're under the bleachers at a sports game, right?
Right.
Like when you were in high school or something, right? You go to the football game. And so I put all of the weapons, or most of the weapons, down below here so that you'd have, again, the sense of layers, right? So the score pads are all up above. All the flag spawners are down below, but so are all the weapons. So anybody who comes down to pick up a flag is going to have a fight on their hands, right? Because everybody's got weapons and whatnot. And there's a lot of interactivity. There's a lot of, you see me do this a lot where I put... exploding dynamite down here with blocks on top of it so that they can fly around, and then of course the flag is here, and then you have to carry it up here, but when you're up here, die.
Yeah, get him before he fires that baddie gun. Oh no.
So when you're up here, you're really exposed, right? And so the other really interesting feature, now this was something I didn't really plan for, but these chests here are nice. These chests are out here and open, and they're kind of essential for the game because you're so exposed up here that you need some sort of shielding or something, some speed or something
to
get
advantage.
Yeah. And so the way this map plays is you're either down below picking up weapons and trying for the flag, or you're up here going for these chests to try to get the buffs, and then defending or trying to take the flag to score the points.
I love the baddie gun so much. And Frontline says Jess is Reaper main confirmed. I can see it. I will go ahead and double confirm that. Right, so moving on, we also want to show off some of your favorite community maps.
Yeah.
So I'm super glad you're here, Frontline. I feel like you are on our list every single week for your really incredible maps. So well done, sir.
This first one is Guardian Tower, not by
Frontline. Yeah, this is Gothic. Yeah, another avid builder.
But we've got one from the Frontline, as you said. So for me, the most interesting thing, the most fun thing, is to see when people take the sort of the toy that we've created and do interesting things that we maybe haven't thought of, and that's kind of the whole point of what we're doing here. And what I like about this is the sort of fantastical feel, right? You're in this courtyard, so the layout is really nice, right? You've got two teams, and it's a very small area, so you're going to have conflict. You're going to have people fighting against each other. There's lots of weapons that are available for you. There's some buffs that you can or don't have to grab, and then there's some cool hidden features. There's a jetpack here, and a baddie gun.
There you go.
And there we go. But what I think is really most exciting for me is the levels of play. Again, you can jump off of this entire platform, right? You can kind of see the whole thing, and then Gothic Medic has created the doorway back up, so I can get back into the action. So you can get knocked off by somebody. Like this QA guy, perhaps, who is going to die at my hands. And
they've gotten really good, though.
I'm sure.
Oh boy.
Okay, buddy, here I come.
Hey, you have one shot on. Oh.
I got it.
Nice job.
Thank you. But yeah, so I think, again, it's that levels, right? There's engagement, right, between the different groups.
Yep.
You've got lots of tools to be able to play, but you've also got this kind of cool, like, if you get knocked off, you're like, oh, what do I do? Oh, there's a portal over here, right? There's some discoverability. It's really cool.
And if you're really lucky, you'll notice that baddie gun on the cross from it. And then you'll go up packing.
Okay. So then the next one is, of course, from Frontline Play. And this one is on which page? Page 4, right?
Page 4, yeah. Good job reading my handwriting. That was good.
Your handwriting is much better than mine.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
You know, there's a story there from when I was in like grade school and how a teacher told me I'd never amount to anything because my handwriting was so bad, which is really funny, haha. Anyway, so you know what I really like about this is, well, there's a number of things. First of all of the teams are in one area, one starting area, which makes you think, okay, what about, you know, a hammer battle? Well, so he's turned off the hammers using
a really clever move.
Yeah. So you have no choice but to interact in the playing field, right? And so then you get out here and you get shot by the QA. But what's greatest, I think, about this is the dynamic layers of the playing field. Because you can see what's possible, right? You can see through these blocks, and you can see that there's lava down there, and that there's danger, right? But But with the potato guns, you're going to ultimately end up doing a lot of damage. And so if you're fighting, if you die, like I just did, you get respawned up here, and you're jumping back in, but the playing field's not the same as it was before, which is super cool.
Constantly changing. You can't just fly out there with careless abandon like you can in the beginning of the match. So yeah, by far one of my favorites, I think, too. It's super punishing. Yeah. Like really thoughtful design and very different from a lot of the other maps we see.
Yeah, really innovative, and I'm really a huge fan. He
also has an Easter egg in there that I really like.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I also the team buff gets spawned here because you destroy so much stuff, so you end up collecting enough coins to get team buffs, and so your team
pretty
gets,
quickly. Yeah.
Oh, I'm dead.
Or that happens and you're
die,
done.
And then you fly around. Like
you can look at the Easter egg now. You turn around. Love it. Turn around a little bit more to your right. You can do this.
Where is it?
It's right. It's hard to see because the green matches with the green in the background. There you go.
Oh, look at that.
And I love that. I think Frontline has a signature to find in almost every map, which is, I think, really clever. I wish more people would start signing their maps. Cool. Yeah.
Bravo.
Well done, guys.
So those of the recent community maps, I think those are my two favorite that I played recently. I got knocked into the kiosk. But I'd kind of like to walk through some of the teams maps if we have the time for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
So each of the maps, and almost everybody on the team has made a map at some point or another, and some have shown up at different times. And usually it had the map sort of stepped up and created some sort of innovation based on either a new block or just something we had never thought of. So this first one is from UGW James.
I really like this one. I feel like this one's really undervalued.
This one,
so I'm super pumped to show this one off.
There
you go. I think it's technically Sumo 2.
Okay, so he did 2 of these, but this one's fine too. This map was created. The original one was very similar to this, and we've played a lot of this. There were 2 platforms for 2 teams, and you landed, and there was this huge ice area, and then the surrounding area below that was all lava, which he's done here too. You can see here, right?
Yeah, right.
And
on the edge.
Again, this is right after we put in the ice and right after we put in the lava. Bye-bye,
yes!
QA.
That was so good. So that's the beauty of this map.
is you can't get any, you can't stop on the ice, right? You have no momentum, so you have to kind of jump and try and turn your momentum, and so you can't use hammers. There's no weapons in here, and so the way you kill people is to just simply sumo them, to knock them off. And we were so taken by how creative that was, and this was before James actually started on the team.
Yeah.
And he was just, he's just a big Builder fan, and it's just so much fun to try to sort of charge at people. So the strategy is you charge at the other player, and if they miss, so he's stuck up there. Come on down, buddy.
He's scared.
Down, buddy.
He's so scared to come down.
All right. So the idea is you charge, right, and then you hope to hit them, and then not fall off the edge, right? And you have to use your charge very very creatively and tactically. Okay, here we go. Watch.
Here, can you do it?
Oh, and he's
no,
gone.
He doesn't. Oh, wait, he's back. He's back. Oh boy. Oh
no! Come on! Oh,
bye! It's so satisfying to watch them go over the edge.
We used to play this at lunch, like for hours. We loved it. It was great.
So good. This style of map is having a comeback. Last week, I want to say it was Poot Loops that made a map called Sumo as well, and it doesn't have it in the middle, but it's a kind of a smaller arena. Same concept, all ice with nothing but lava.
Yeah.
It's just such a great theme for the ice.
Oh, I missed him.
Nope, jumped.
Now I'm...
Oh, no.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
I can't. All right, well, so we'll move on to the next one. Because this could take all day, right?
This one's one of my very favorites.
So this one is very new. Page 10, right? And... what I love about this is again, it's innovation. This is from UGW Lumberjack, and what she's done here, and there was sort of a period of time where we were all building lava maps, I think, and and the idea here is that you have to use these balloons to sort of navigate, right? And again, it's similar to.
Oh no! So close.
But if you grab, you can float up, right? Or you can jump on them, but they don't respawn, right? So slowly, again, the map changes shape and it becomes dynamic. And there are fun things you can do. You can get to the chests, and there are well, this used to be the grappling gun, but it's the plunger gun now here.
Oh, the plunger gun is so good in this map. If you can get it. Oh. Just desperately trying to latch onto anything. What I like about this map, this was like within the first couple of weeks that we hired Jack.
Yeah.
And it was during our birthday celebration, and this was kind of her contribution to it. And I feel like this map, we were like, oh yeah, you definitely belong here.
Yeah.
And I remember turning to her while she was making it and be like, Jack, like, are you not having a very good day? Because this just was so punishing. And it still is. Like, it's brutal. Yeah. So that's kind of how it got its name. Jack's a no good, very bad day. And I love it.
I just think, as far as replayability, I don't know that you really want to play this 10 times in a row. But because of the sort of tool set that we've created, and because you have so many different options for things to play, it's really a refreshing thing to do, right? Yeah, to throw in there, play once in a while. It's cool. Yeah.
Good job, Jack.
Then, okay, so this is honestly one of my all-time favorites here.
I like what it says in parentheses, by the way. It says, oak, this one is old.
Yeah. Well, so here's the story with this. So we have these moving platforms in the game, and we put them together, and we've always wanted it to be a sandbox thing. We wanted to give people tools to be able to have emergent gameplay.
Right.
And Oak took these and realized that you can put 9 blocks on a moving platform. Okay, and then but you couldn't put any more than that. Just the 9 would be attached to it and move around. And so what he did is he built these entire 2 ships with cannons and everything going back and forth by 9 blocks at a time. So we had to lay out all of these platforms. Jeez. It took him several days, and he had to, and it was right after we had done the copy paste feature, and so he'd created sections of it, and then he copy pasted and he ended up making one full one, copy pasted, rotated, and put the other one in.
That's so cool.
And it was a labor of love. Let me tell you, it was a lot of work. But we played this so much because look at how these ships just come apart, right?
Yeah. I'm seeing a real theme with your favorite maps. You really like the maps that change over time.
Yes.
You know, a lot of destructible blocks, a lot of things that change as the environment gets more hectic.
Yeah, I really like how I like the dynamism. I like things to evolve over time, and it's really it's interactive. It's engaging, right?
Absolutely.
I think I've built a number of maps that didn't have destroyable blocks in them, and I don't think they're as much fun in the longer term. I think having a structure where you can where things are not destroyable and that'll always be there is very good, but there needs to be some movement in the map, otherwise it's not. But I think that's also what's really interesting about QUIRK is that everybody's maps are so different, right?
Yeah.
And like I would never have thought to make something.
No, never. No, that's an engineer for you.
Right. That was also back when he was the best player in the game.
Before Jack took his seat.
Before Lumberjack has taken his seat, yeah. I'm sure he doesn't want to hear that, but I bet you might, yeah.
I'm definitely not going to make a clip of that.
Sure you're not. Okay, so this one is from Ether.
Ether, you know him as Troy, everyone. This is one of Troy's maps.
And it's this one.
Yeah,
right?
This one I think we actually showed off last week as well.
Okay.
But I agree that it's so. I wish he would finish it to be like really playable.
Right? Well, so for me, this was a real revelation for us because we have always had blocks and we've always made it very easy for people to build things, but he's taken it to another level where he's incorporated this perler art stuff, right? And I know you guys have talked about that before, but there's so much you can do in that realm with all of this, and like we were just talking about, the aesthetic value of a map is as important as its playability. And so I walked in and saw him. This was a weekend. Saw him making this. And he talked about how he was making them flat, but then he started to build this one where he's added some 3D depth to it, and he was thinking about making, like a castle, right? He's got this stuff that you can walk into, and it's that sort of imagination and creativity that just is really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a whole new world of what you can do with the blocks. So I agree. That's awesome.
And really all we want to do is sort of set the thing in motion and hope that people come to us with really cool stuff. Right,
right, exactly.
Okay, and then...
So the next one should be on featured. I clicked out of it and immediately forgot the name of this one. So.
And this is page 1. Well, we're looking for... So Matt is also one of my favorite... one of my favorite builders. He's made a lot of maps that have been really, really super solid. And what's interesting about this particular map...
I love this one so much.
It's capture the flag, and it's got, again, lots of different levels. But what is super interesting for me is... Where am I? Not that. No, sorry. I came to the wrong side. Again, the moving platforms. So he's got the moving platforms, but what he figured out here was that if you attach, again, only 9 blocks to the moving platform, if you attach them in a certain way, you create these moving doors.
Yeah.
And so now we have this doorway, and what we did because of that, so it used to be that you'd see it attached here, and now when you've got blocks attached to the moving platform, we make it invisible so that you can make these moving platforms, that you can make a dynamic.
I just had an idea.
Okay.
What if one day we make it so if you were underneath one of those,
you get crushed.
You get crushed.
So
crushing doors.
We talked about that, and you know how you do that now.
How?
You put lava on the bottom. You put the lava on the bottom level,
That's
and
so
it'll hit you
good.
and destroy you. Because there are times when you don't want people to be destroyed by that, right?
Right,
Maybe you
right.
don't want to be that, and so we're trying to give as
Definitely.
much flexibility as possible. But yeah, you put the lava on the bottom. Good to go. But this, door number 3. He has all sorts of deathmatch maps that he's created that are just super fun.
Back when it was deathmatch, was even super fun to play, and I think that's kind of Matt's specialty. Is I've never played a map that I didn't think could be one thing or another. He's super versatile with what he makes, which makes sense since he modeled all of this. So he's kind of become, these are absolutely, I think, his babies.
Yeah.
Well,
Matt's one of those guys who can do like everything. Right?
Yeah.
He can do a little bit of everything, and he's got such a great design sense, and has he even does a little bit of his own coding, and so
I believe it.
The guy's
He'd
incredible.
Probably make a great community manager too. Like, just do it all.
Because he's a nice guy, right?
Yeah, he's like super friendly. Anyway, we love Matt. 15 minutes.
Little love.
It's gonna be a new segment every week.
Okay, so then this last one I want to talk about is from Lavender. This one was built as part of one of our promo videos, and she did it, and they did all the. They recorded all of the building of it, so that you can kind of watch it in one of the videos. If you see them on YouTube, you can see her having built all this stuff. But it's also really fun because everybody's got the same amount of space, right, to build in. But how you use that space is really interesting. In a Vast, for example, there's 2 ships that are moving back and forth, but it feels like a pretty small map, right? Because it's just the 2 ships. This same exact space, similar number of blocks, actually probably more blocks, but you can see for some reason it feels like it's really big.
It's sprawling.
Yeah.
It's really spread out, and you definitely feel like you have a lot of space.
And this is another one that comes apart when you play, though it can be a little frustrating because the map changes so much that you're like, I don't even know where anybody is.
Yeah, by 3 minutes it's nothing but water.
yeah, but that's fun. And the other thing I like about this is that there's a lot of bullets in your weapon. You get extra ammo here.
Oh yeah, she does. She starts us off with 50, which is beautiful.
I think there is a B gun in here. It's hidden.
It's always a hidden B gun. I can't tell you. Community, I approve your maps twice a week, and I specifically look for B guns. And so far, I have not been disappointed. Every time I see a destructible block, I'm like, I bet there's a B gun.
Yeah.
85% of the time, it's a B gun, or they're getting clever. I think they know that I look for hidden, so they like to put things like ramps into lava, so you'll step out and just immediately get killed. So they're becoming smarter.
Well, that doesn't surprise me. I mean, you look at some of this stuff, and it's clear that people have put a lot of time and effort.
Yeah.
It's clearly a smart group of people. But I just think that. The more we do this, the more we're gonna find stuff, and the more we're gonna get requests for new things that are gonna add stuff. Every time we add a new block pack or a new set of blocks or a new cool thing or a new weapon or whatever, then it changes kind of the dynamics of the thing.
Absolutely. You know what I think would really change the dynamic?
Well, let me guess. Pets?
Sure is pets. How'd you guys like to see pets in a quirk near you? I would.
If you haven't noticed, we've probably talked about that.
Yeah, we have.
We'd love to do pets. One of the things we talked about actually in the first week when we started the company was having interactive locations, blocks that you put into the game, where if you had a pet, if it went to one of those blocks, and maybe they'd be attracted to those blocks, it would play an animation or do a thing.
Yeah.
So you could collect various different things. So, for example, if you had a bird, right, it would wrestle around in the leaves.
So cool.
Or maybe it would dive bomb people, or maybe it would sing a song, right? Or if it was a
Right.
dog, maybe it would bark, or maybe it would run around in a circle, or would do things.
The future of QUIRK's really exciting.
Very exciting.
But yeah, awesome. Those are fantastic maps.
Yes, and I mean there are so many more we could talk about, but you know, if you've only got an hour,
yeah, we got to do this weekly, Jess. You're gonna make me run out of content already.
Fair enough.
And yeah, Frontline, I promise I'm gonna get Community Jail finished. You guys have driven me. I started making a map for our community. That's going to be a maze-like map with secret corridors that you have to get the flag from one end and escape the jail with it to get the points. Yeah.
So what we need is like a dev command that allows you to teleport anybody into community.
Yeah, and if they're in a map and I'm like, another bee gun, just teleport them and then they have to play it.
I like this.
Yeah.
Idea. I support this idea.
There you go.
So, I like that too.
Yeah, awesome, Jess. Thank you so much for sharing some of your favorite maps.
My pleasure. Anytime. Thanks for having me. I'm just gonna play.
But we're not done yet, sir.
Okay.
So we are going to be switching gears for a moment, and I wanted to talk to you because I know I'm really curious. I was not here at the very start of the founding of UGen, and I know a bunch of our community is very curious about where we started from, and specifically you. So just curious. I know the answer to this. It's like a million years, but exactly how long have you been in the gaming industry?
About 20 years.
20 years.
It's not quite a million, but close,
at least
right?
a million. We have community members who haven't been alive for 20 years,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah,
So
that's true. I got my start in paper games. So I was at Wizards of the Coast and was working on Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons many years ago.
Awesome. As two of my favorite games. It's super exciting.
I know. I remember when I talked to you about your love of Baldur's Gate.
Oh my goodness, that was amazing. I was at my interview. I was talking. Well, it was sort of an interview. It was like a phone screening with Jess, and I go, "Oh," he asked me, "What's your favorite game?" I go, "Baldur's Gate." And what comes next was, "Oh, I worked on that." And I almost hung up the phone. I was like, "I'm not good enough for this. I can't do this."
And if I remember correctly, though, then you gave me shit about what kind of beer I like.
Yeah, I did. Well, yeah. I mean, I can't blame you. You're not from San Diego, the home base of crafted beer.
San Diego does have good beer.
God, do we? Oh, I miss the beer more than anything.
Do you really?
Yeah, I really do. It's really good. Well, that's all my questions. I'm pretty satisfied after that. So yeah. Is there any other like pet projects that other projects that you just loved working on during your career outside of QUIRK?
Well, you know, I after I was in paper games, I worked at ArenaNet on Guild Wars. I was one of the key creatives there, and that was a great project, right? I mean, it was a small team, not a lot bigger than what we are now here at UGen.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it got bigger.
Right.
But that was really great, and you know, a lot of the same philosophies that we had there, we try to carry on here, because you know, one of the things that was really important to me there was everybody was very, very good at what they did, but everybody also really interacted well.
Right.
And so we try to do sort of the same thing here, where we bring in people who will really fit our kind of culture. Right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
So, yeah, I think we learned a lot. That was a really great project. I had a lot of fun working on, I did some DLC for Far Cry.
Nice.
That was fun. I did the original world design for League of Legends. That was also super fun. I got to draw the map. I brought that in the other day. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I didn't get to see it.
I have the original hand-drawn map.
That's
for
cool.
the League of Legends world with all the names and everything in there, and I just had it, sitting there. They, of course, took a copy of it and then made, the art for it.
Right,
and so on there.
right.
But yeah, that was me.
That's so cool. And everyone who's watching right now, if you have any questions for Jess as well, feel free to post it in chat, and we will get to your questions as well. I only have a list so long, so if you're curious about anything about Jess or QUIRK or Eugen or anything like that, let us know. We'd love to hear it. So let's see. So what is, you kind of touched on this a little bit, but what is your favorite type of game / like favorite game in general? That's
such a hard question.
I
right?
know.
Of course, I love RPGs. I did love the Baldur's Gate series. My wife and I play RPGs together.
That's so cute.
Less and less you find games where you can play on the same box, right? And
yeah.
Because there's lots of multiplayer games, but you have to play online, and so you can't. When I grew up, I'm old, right? So I grew up. You sat on the same couch and played the games together.
Absolutely, yeah.
And it's harder and harder to find those, and so we play a lot of RPGs when you can find them when they're 2-player, and first-person shooters when one person like Gears of War is great because one of us gets killed, the other can come up and
Gears of War is great.
Resurrect you, yeah.
Oh.
But personally, I play a lot of turn-based strategy games, like the Civilization series a lot.
Right.
Might and Magic. I did some work on a Might and Magic back in the day. But I love those. I think it comes from card games, right? From playing like Magic and whatnot, because you have time to think about how you're gonna.
Right, the strategy of it, and getting one up on your opponent 5 turns before you're there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's QUIRK is not like that, right? It's much faster paced, it's much more intense, but that's also why we've added some elements that kind of make it not so aggressive, right? Where like in the quick match stuff, you're playing and you're constantly respawning, and so there's not a lot of pain in dying, right? You're not losing your experience. You're not losing anything. You're just losing a little bit of time, and so even if I'm not as good as say Oak or Lumberjack, right? I can still play, and they might kill me 3 times for every one that I kill them, but I can still have a good time with that, and so that sort of background of the inclusiveness and simplicity drives a lot of what we do here.
Yeah, absolutely. So you kind of have this legacy of working on games and on projects. What kind of was that draw of, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to step outside of becoming part of a team and building a team?
I think when you are in an industry for a long time, you look at the decisions other people make, and you have to collaborate, right? You have to make compromises, and you have to say, okay, well, I'm not the only person on this team, right? And even now, starting your own company, you still have to do that. But I think I just felt like there were decisions I saw other people make that I thought I could do a better job with, and I thought that I could, over the years you work with people and you think, I want to work with that person again, and I just thought if I could put all the right people in place, then we could really do something great. And then the opportunity came about, and I was like, okay, I've got to do this.
This is your chance. Yeah, awesome.
I was living in China, and I came back to Seattle to start the company, and it's been really great. We've got to bring in some people. I've worked with Troy, Ether. I've worked with Matt before.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the team has really been. It's been super cool. It's been super cool. And
tell me more about the team.
The team is so good, especially community.
The better act of the studio.
I have to tell you, it's. I wouldn't trade it for anything, right? It's really one of the best things I've ever done. It's hard, right? A lot of stress, right? Startup is challenging, but when you get the right people, that's what it's all about, right people.
The right people.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you decided to start this team. What was the initial inspirations for QUIRK?
that's a big question, but I think it comes back to when I was working in MMOs, right? The where the team, where the game interacts with the community, where the game interacts with the players, it is community.
Yeah.
And I moved from Guild Wars to Pirates of the Burning Sea, and met Troy. And the first thing I did was, say, okay, I introduced myself, made a relationship with Troy, so that my team, which was making content, and his team was doing the community, could work together, so we could get that feedback and make the game sort of that the players really wanted. And so the more and more I've thought about it, the more I've felt like the more tools you can put in the hands of the players, give people the opportunity to make their world and to influence their world, the happier everybody will be.
Yeah.
But it can't be, hey, here's a copy of Unity. Hey, here's a really difficult tool to use.
Right, it's a little heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you've got to say, here, we're going to make this easy. We're going to make this easy for you to make stuff and share stuff. And then, we did start thinking that we were going to be doing a lot of VR. We are available on VR.
Yeah.
We promote, multiple different platforms. We sort of realized that the future was now in terms of chipsets, so that people could actually have VR rigs in their own homes. And we felt like a tool that would really empower the users in virtual reality was really like future stuff,
yeah.
right? Like, okay, wow, and no one's really doing it. Sure, there are some similar things that are out there, but not quite like what we're doing.
Right.
And so we felt like the opportunity was there, and so
excellent.
We just
the
did
time
it. Yeah.
is now.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I do apologize, chat. Our chat broke on this end, so sorry if you said anything really important.
They want to know a very classic question, which I'm sure, Timbear, you're going to love. Would you rather fight a 100 horse-sized ducks or one duck-sized horse?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think 100 ducks, because that means I'll have more food.
100 horses.
100 horses.
There's no ducks involved in the.
Oh, I guess I just hate ducks, so I immediately was like, I would fight every duck in the world.
Horses that are duck-sized, 100 of them, or.
One duck that was the size of a horse.
Yes.
One duck. Okay, no, I choose the duck one, because then I can fight a duck.
Okay.
Of any size.
Wouldn't you want to ride a duck that big?
No, I would rather ride 100 tiny horses and fight a duck that big, because ducks are gross animals.
Fair enough.
What would you?
It's a good question. I think a horse-sized duck is terrifying, right? I mean, I've been chased out of the bush by a regular-sized duck before, so I don't know how I deal with a horse-sized duck. But 100 horses.
Yeah. How tired do you think? Like once you get to 50, do you think you'd be?
Be pretty tired.
Yeah.
Right? I guess it depends on my stats, right? Like how much stamina I've got. And
I don't know. Only really you can answer that question. I can't look at your character sheet, Jess. I'm sorry.
Well, as long as there's some sort of like potion of vitality around, I think I do the tiny horses.
Is that beer?
Could be.
A good potion of stamina in real life, I think, might be like a good IPA.
It might be, right?
All right, awesome. Yeah, that sounds like a frontline question. Thanks, Frontline, for that one. Again, anyone else watching, we are open for questions as well. As you can see, we'll answer anything.
Clearly.
So, let's see. I kind of answered that one already. So, well, actually, no. How did you get started making QUIRK? I guess not so much thought-wise. You clearly had this great idea. So what was the next step after finding your people to do this?
So before we actually had the team, we made a demo, and it was terrible. It was really, really bad. And someday I hope to be able to show people exactly how bad it was. But we have to, when we finish this and everybody's like, "Yay, it's good!" Then we'll be like, "Yeah, well, wait a minute. Here's where we started." It was a lot more like, it looked a lot like 3D Angry Birds, right? It was like, seriously, you were stuck in place and you were shooting a catapult at targets in the distance. And we we used this to sort of demo what we were, or demonstrate what we were trying to do. And then when we got the actual team together, there were 5 of us who initially started. I almost knocked me out.
You almost, yeah, sorry, we got distracted. Also, Micah, if you're watching, great job on your map today, Yin Yang. Check it out, it's really good.
Okay, well. And once we got the first group of people in, it immediately transformed, right? Within the first week, it went from being sort of strategy based, where I walk up and I build a map, and I walk up and I take a weapon and I try and hit a target as a puzzle, to being multiplayer. And we're like, wow, this is cool. And so we were playing with these terrible pieces of art that we bought from someplace, right? And we were just running around. The animations were all out of sync and everything didn't work. But very quickly there, probably within a week and a half, we discovered what it was that was really fun about this type of game, was being able to interact with other people on things. Right. Knocking people off of stuff was really fun.
Yeah,
and you know, dropping blocks of TNT under them and trying to blow them up, that was fun. And so we sort of have built from there, and we've just added layers and added layers and added layers. And you know, we've got 2 game types in now. We're going to be launching a 3rd, and we've got a whole bunch of other ones that we've got in the works that will slowly come out as we have time to be able to build them out, and release to people. And as that vision sort of grows, so will the opportunities and stuff.
Awesome. Very, very cool. Haven't been followed. Yeah, we might have to change that so people can talk a little quicker in chat. So thanks for bearing with us with that. We do have a half-hour follower limit. So yeah,
okay.
I was like, yeah, Micah, just say something. So yeah, apologize for that. All right. So what are, since we're kind of running low on time, what are your hopes and dreams for QUIRK going forward?
Well, we hope to be getting it into the hands of more users very soon. Getting more people in. We're working toward a mobile and a tablet release, and so that we can expand the group of people who are playing for it with us in early access and kind of in the late alpha, early beta stage, and then our intentions are to just continue to grow, and longer term, we really want to just turn the controls over to the players, right? We want them to tell us, you know, what they want to see, and we'll continue to build and add and grow based on what our community wants.
Excellent. Those are some awesome hopes and dreams for the future, and pets.
And pets.
That's my hope and dream for the future. Awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up with 2 questions. I see you like the last one there.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite feature, either now that we have in game, or something that we're working on now that you're really excited to see in game?
My favorite feature it changes all the time, right? Because every week there's something new in this, and so it becomes my favorite feature at that point. I think most recently my favorite feature is the kill feed, where you can see. So there's always been a way for you to see who killed who, but it wasn't always instantly available, and there's just a lot of satisfaction in knowing
what happened.
Who you killed, who got killed, especially if you die and then your rocket hits somebody a second later and you go, ha ha ha,
it feels so good.
They killed you, but you got them back. The stuff in the future, there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipe, but I can't really talk about a lot of that. I'll have to come back on and tell you after we've done one.
Awesome. Chocobo. Square Enix might have words with us if we put a Chocobo in game, but maybe a horse-sized duck coming your way.
A Bocacho?
A Duckacho.
Duckacho? Duckacho?
Quirkacho?
Quirka.
Ooh, Quirkacho.
Quirkacho.
We're going to get sued. Anyway, last question. And this question is one of my favorites. We actually ask every person who is getting interviewed / gets hired. It's like the first question we ask, because every Friday we do our happy hours. What is your favorite cocktail?
Such a hard question, because it really depends on the situation. But if I really have to pick just one, I'm a martini guy. I like a gin martini, 3 olives.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice, good standby there. I like
it's a good fallback, you know. Yeah.
All right, well, there you guys have it. So, again, I am UGW Timbear hanging out with Executive Producer of QUIRK, Jess. Yeah, so thank you for answering all my questions.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. So, as always, we're going to wrap it up with some announcements and things like that. So, first up, we, of course, have our weekly events. This week, we have our Friday happy hour on the 25th. Super excited. A lot of you guys in chat know her already. She's kind of becoming our mom. Holly Bombay will be here in studio on Friday, so we're going to give her the Queen's treatment here. So we're super excited to have her. So check her out starting at 4 o'clock from the studio. Holly Bombay, we love you. And then our next map approval. So I did do map approvals. You can find that in Discord as well as on our Steam forums. We did approve maps. And the next map approval will be Thursday, the 24th. So get those maps in. And I know we keep talking about this. Fan contest is still going on. So we are still taking... what's the word I'm looking for? Submissions. I completely blanked on that word. So we're taking submissions. We have our first fan art already hanging in studio, which is one of the cool things. No matter what art you submit, we're going to be putting it on our walls to look at forever because we love it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining. I'm Timber, this is Jess, and you can join us for our next Maker Monday on the 28th. That's next Monday, for Real. We actually did this on time this week, and I'm super pumped for it. And don't forget to follow us at Twitter at playQUIRK. You can check us out on Facebook also at playQUIRK, and we're on YouTube, which you can, I believe, Google playQUIRK, because we don't have our vanity URL yet. So if you check us out on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. The sooner we get like a bazillion followers, the sooner we can have a fancy YouTube URL, and we do put out content weekly because we're here weekly. So yeah, check that out. And of course you can join the community at discord.gg/ugen. So hopefully we'll catch you guys there. So again, thank you guys so much for joining us this week. And you guys have a great week. We'll catch you on the flip side.